Hi guys and gals, it's Cece from Cece Restyled. This is episode 1 of my Work With Me series. I decided to do a series of kind of mini tutorials that maybe pack 2 or 3 different processes into one video. Every time I work on a piece, I could be doing anywhere from 3 to 6 different techniques or methods, and I thought that it might be nice to just kind of show you those quickly. I'll still be doing my more in-depth tutorials on each process, but this just kind of gives you a glimpse of how fast and easy some of these things are to use. So this piece right here is what I'm working on today. It's actually the bottom part of a china hutch, or was, and I went ahead and I put some feet on it to add height, if you can see those there. I put some little feet on it. I went ahead and painted it. The first coat, let it dry. Second coat, I did some blending. This is for a client. My client sent me some photos of her rug and some artwork she had in her living room, and she really wanted to pull the blues out of the artwork and the rug. So I took the different blues and I did this sort of almost an ombre, but not quite. It's a little more organic in shape than just a straight up fade. Excuse me. So she also let me know that in her living room where this is going, she also has some blush. So her accents are gold and silver, some blush, and blues are her primary color palette. So in addition to the blues, I decided that I want to add a couple of these little blush flowers, just to kind of pull in some of that blush. She doesn't know that I'm doing this, so it's going to be a little surprise. I'm going to be doing that with Prima Transfers, and if you're not familiar with Prima Transfers, they have basically changed my furniture game. They're amazing. Some of them come in these let's say like it's a big graphic, okay, intended to be lined up so that you get this one image and you can put it on a dresser front or cabinet or what have you. So the one big image is broken up into usually like 6 or so smaller graphics in order to fit into the little tube, and you just have to line those up where you're going to be placing them. It's not hard. It just takes a little bit of effort to make sure you're lining everything up correctly, but super fun. So that's the Monarch Grace. It's really pretty. It's got some pretty purples, but this isn't the one I'm going to be using. I just wanted to show you what they look like out of the tube, and they come with a little wooden scraper type stick that you can use to adhere the transfer to your furniture. I like to use a little scraper or squeegee. It's a hard one, not one of those rubbery ones. That's just my personal preference, but the wooden stick works just fine. Today I'm going to be using the Rose and Rouge. So like I said, some of these are like one big pattern and meant to be put on as such, but that doesn't mean you can't cut apart pieces and customize it as you wish. That's what I do. I like to cut apart little elements to place here and there to kind of make it unique and fit what I'm going for. This is one of my favorites that I'm using today. It's Rose and Rouge. It's got these really pretty flowers, and the background is transparent. So here you see they have used it on a black piece of furniture. This is what it looks like. The white you see would be transparent though. So it's just the flowers, and this one is amazing to cut apart and use different elements. I do that often because this transfer, actually all the transfers, but especially this one, I see them all the time on different colors of painted pieces, and it always makes them look so different. It's mind-blowing how different the same transfer can look on all these different colors. But basically it's a rub-on graphic, so different than a decal, which is vinyl and sticks. This is like a very thin, almost filmy type material. It's breathable. It's recommended to put on, you know, matte or non-porous, or I'm sorry, or porous surfaces. It adheres better rather than glossy. Although people do put them on mirrors. I've seen that. I've never done it, but I've seen people do that. But ideally, you're going to be putting it on a matte surface. So I've chalk painted, and I have not waxed or sealed this piece yet. You want to do that after you put on the transfer. You're going to want to seal it with wax or clear polyacrylic or some water-based sealers, but definitely not an oil-based. There's a lot of issues that could arise with the oil base. You know, your transfer is peeling off, and you don't want to spend all your hard work and time putting this on, and then to ruin it by mistakenly putting on an oil-based sealer. So there is also these transfers that are not just one big graphic, so they're elements. So this one has butterflies and birdies and scripts and some text, some writing to create texture. So you know, you can use them how you want, but just know that some come in little elements you cut apart, and that some you can piece together and put over an entire front of a piece of furniture or wall or what have you. So I have gone ahead and cut out the pieces that I want to use on this guy, and I'll just show you really quickly how to put on the transfer, and then we'll move on to the rest of the piece. So this, like I told you, is a buffet. It was part of a china hutch, so it comes with this little silverware drawer, which I thought was really neat. It's hidden behind a door, but I do want to put a few little flowers peeking out, so it's kind of like a little surprise. When you open the door, you get a few of these little pretty blush flowers. So that is what I'm going to do, and I will tilt you down here so that you can see what I'm doing. So you want to make sure your surface is clean, dry, preferably wait about 24 hours for your paint to dry, but I've done it after an hour or two with the fan on it, but it's suggested to wait overnight. So it's clean, dry, there's no debris or dust or anything like that, so that my transfer will adhere properly. So that it comes on this backing paper. What you want to do is gently peel away the backing paper from the graphic. So I've had them stick to the backing paper before, and I've heard that if you stick it in the freezer, that you can avoid that happening. I didn't know that at the time, but next time that happens, I'll try it. But if you see it start to peel away and sticking on the backing paper, go ahead and just stick it back on there and try the freezer trick for a few minutes. So it's really important that you get it lined up exactly where you want it before you set it down, because once you set it down and start pressing on it, it's going to stick, and repairing that snafu is possible, but not that fun. You want to get it right. So that's right. Oh, see, that was not a good thing. So okay, so luckily that hadn't stuck yet. I'm gonna go ahead and press it down because this is where I want it. I'm gonna go ahead and cut. See how it's kind of poking out over the top of the drawer a little bit. I don't really want that, so I'm gonna go ahead and cut it off with a sharp knife. Careful not to move my graphic. And also make sure you try not to scratch your paint. Sometimes I'll leave it and I will roll the graphic over the edge because I think it makes a cute little look, but that's not what I'm going for on this piece. So I'm just went ahead and cut it off. So I usually start in the middle. Sometimes if you start on the edge, it can shift this clear part that the graphic sticks to, and you get wrinkles, and if it starts to shift, like that's no bueno. So I like to start in the middle and work my way out. And you definitely have to put a little bit of elbow grease into it. get it to stick. And you can kind of tell when it starts to release from the paper. And you want to make sure you go over all of it, and I try to go over my edges really well too. Okay, and then when you think that you've gotten everything pretty well and adhered, I pick a corner and I just pull back slowly. That way, if there's any spots that I did miss, I can just lay my paper back down and go over those again. So I find it's best to peel it at a sharp angle instead of pulling it up. If you pull it at a sharp angle, that helps to lay some of the graphic, keep it down. And then at this point, depending on how confident I am that it's stuck, sometimes I'll grab my heat gun and go over it on a medium heat. Keep it moving, don't hold it, you know, you don't want to melt the graphics, so just keep it moving, and sometimes just heat up that adhesive a little bit. That helps. And then I take a soft cloth, or sometimes my sleeve if I don't have a soft clean cloth on me, and I like to go around the edges and just burnish the edges. I don't know if you can see, I think you can see the clear edges around there, how you can kind of see them. I find that if I take my clean soft cloth, I like microfiber, or my sleeve like I told you, depending on what I'm wearing. Don't listen to that tip, that's just what I do, but I find that if I go over the edges, I can get those little, get the little edges to stick better, and sometimes they don't show up as much. But then when I seal it with wax or polyacrylic, they kind of disappear, so it's not a big issue. I don't think I've ever had one that turned out and I could see the edges so bad that, you know, I wasn't happy, but definitely burnishing it helps with the soft cloth. I love these. They're just so pretty, the colors, and just adds so much. So much, even just that little bit to the drawer adds so much to the whole piece. I'll show you what it looks like in the drawer. Isn't that cute? So that is the Prima Transfer. There's also adhesive transfers. It's basically the same process, but it just lays down an adhesive, and then you go over that with gold foil or silver foil or any kind of foil, or you can use mica powders or something, you know, that sticks to the foil or to the adhesive, and then it just leaves a pattern or, you know, graphic of whatever sort you chose where the adhesive was. They're so cool. That's probably going to be my next tutorial because I really enjoy using those. They're a lot of fun. Anyways, so I'm going to go ahead and finish up these little flowers in the corner here on the top. And that's all I'm going to do. I just wanted a little hint of the blush and the flowers on this piece. I didn't want to make it a whole, you know, entire, I didn't want to do a whole bunch of flowers, get carried away on this one. I wanted the primary focus to be the blues and then the details here, which are really pretty. I don't know if they're coming through in the video, but really pretty details, and I'm going to be going over those with some Shiva sticks. So that'll be our last step. So right now I'm going to put these on, put my doors back on, and then we're going to do some gold and silver foil accents along some of the edges. Okay, so now it's time to add our gold and silver leaf that I'm going to be doing to just some corners and edges and a little bit here and there, just to give it some shiny metallic, you know, accents. My client made it very clear that she likes silver and gold. So I'm going to be using silver leaf and gold leaf. Most often it comes in these sheets, and you can get it at the craft store or Amazon. It comes in these very, very, very thin sheets that you apply using an adhesive. So gold leaf adhesive, sometimes it's called size or sizing. Just know that if you see it labeled as size or sizing, then that's gold leaf adhesive. They do make a spray gold leaf adhesive that you can use to spray on the areas that you want. I am going to be using the brush-on kind for metal leaf that I just want to be able to control where I am putting it, and I'm going to brush it on and let it dry for about 5 to 10 minutes. I want it to be tacky but not wet. So if you cannot find sizing or the spray adhesive, I believe you could probably use Mod Podge or maybe regular spray adhesive. Don't quote me on that, but I think I've read people have used Mod Podge successfully before. And the spray adhesive, you would just want to make sure it's the kind that dries clear. Some of them, when you spray them out, it kind of goes everywhere and maybe yellows. So I would just want to maybe test that out on a test piece of wood first. But like I said, I'm going to be using the liquid brush-on adhesive size. And let's see. I am going to roll this over here so you can see better. I want it to look like it just kind of like spilled on here a little bit. I don't want to go crazy and put patches of leaf all over the whole thing. So my placement, I want to be very kind of natural looking, I guess. I don't know how natural gold and silver leaf would look, but you know what I mean. I don't want it to look effortless, I guess is where I'm going with that. So I'm just using a little chipboard brush, nothing too crazy. And I do want to I want to get some just overlapping on my transfer just a little bit so that they look nice and you know, well thought out. I like to overlap my elements sometimes, because when you're using several different products and methods, I've seen things that kind of look like they were just plopped on there, and I like my end product to look a little more well thought out. Excuse me. So I'm just gonna brush on, you know, areas where I want to place my leaf. Like I said, I just want it to spill over on this door a little bit. I got a little bit up here on my transfer. And then I'll probably that's about it on this corner. Can you see that? I'm not putting a whole lot. I just want it to be a little, you know, a little taste of the gold and silver leaf. So I'm gonna let that dry for 5 to 10 minutes. In the meantime, I'm gonna come around on this side and I'm gonna do some more in the opposite corner. So I'm gonna have some, you know, kind of coming up here, you know, just wisping up the side just a little bit. I think that if I put a little bit more over here, it'll kind of balance out that corner has the flower on it. And I'm not a huge symmetry person, so a lot of things I do, you don't see very symmetrical in terms of looking the same on each side, but I do like balance. So I don't want one side of my piece to look a lot heavier than the other side visually, you know, visually heavy weight. Like when you start to add these elements, it adds weight to your piece, you know. So if I add a little bit more gold and silver leaf on this side, it can counterbalance the floral element over on that side. I don't know. I don't even know if that makes sense. It does in my mind. It makes sense in my head. So, you don't want to put it on too thick because I do want it to dry in the 5 to 10 minutes. But I think that'll do us. Now, I am going to let it dry for 5 to 10, and then we will start over here in our first corner. Okay, so we have got our sizing has dried to a nice tack. So it's sticky, but it's not wet, and that is exactly what we want. So I'm gonna start with my gold leaf, but I'm also gonna get out my silver leaf too, because I wanna use gold and silver. And I have this clean, dry brush that I use, and although I've used it for other things in the past, I dedicated this one strictly to gold leafing so that, you know, I know it's always clean and dry. And that we will use to just kind of brush off the excess. I'm not going to tell you this is not kind of a messy process, so it can be a little bit messy, which drives me nuts because I hate making a mess, but it's so worth it. Okay, so first I'm going to grab my first sheet of gold leaf very carefully, because once it folds over on itself, it's gonna stay that way. So I just want to use a little corner of my gold leaf, and I'm gonna place that kind of just randomly where I want some gold, and I'm just gonna pat that down with my brush, and I'm gonna tear away the rest of the piece because I want to leave some room and some adhesive on here for silver. So I am going to kind of brush it away. And since it comes in these squares, sometimes you can get, I don't know if you can see that, but sometimes you can get kind of a sharp edge from the squares, and that's really easy. I usually just take my brush and I kind of go over the edge in the opposite direction, and it kind of shaves off a little bit of those edges, and that way you don't have like a harsh line where it looks like you set a sheet on there. So I'm gonna throw a little bit more gold on this corner. Maybe add some over here. See how easy that is? And it's so pretty, so sparkly. I use a lot of waxes, metallic waxes, and I love using my metallic waxes and my Shiva sticks, but something about the gold foil is just so shiny and brilliant, and it's just a different animal. I'm gonna add some more gold up here. Just pat it down with my brush, tear away what is left on the sheet, and then we've got our little areas of gold leaf. Sometimes I take my shop vac, when I'm all done, I take my shop vac, and when I'm cleaning up the floor around it, I'll go over the piece real quick with the shop vac just to make sure there's not any pieces that are stragglers. And then after I'm done with the gold leafing, I'm going to go and wax my whole piece, okay? Because I haven't waxed it yet, and that's going to need to happen. So I'm just going to do a tad bit more on the top here, just a little bit. I don't want to get too carried away. And then we'll have some spilling up under here. That will look good. And then why don't we go ahead and put that here. So you can manipulate where you want the gold leaf to go, obviously in the adhesive step where you are putting the adhesive on there, but there's not really, kind of what I like about gold leaf as opposed to wax is that it is a little bit more random, organic shapes. You know, you can kind of manipulate how you want it to look, but ultimately, you know, it's got these really cool kind of, I don't know what you call it, like not ragged edges, but you know, more natural looking edges. You know, like it just kind of belongs there, you know? Can you see that? I love gold leaf, it's so pretty. So while I'm on this corner, I'm gonna go ahead, well, I think I'm gonna do a little bit more gold. So I'm gonna grab my other sheet. I'm actually just gonna grab half of this sheet because I'm not gonna use the whole thing, I know that. So I'm gonna just tear my sheet in half. Can you see that? Just gonna use part of it. Okay, and then I think I want a little bit more down here. And maybe some here too. And the adhesive dries, or sizing dries clear, so if you don't cover every single inch that you laid down adhesive, that's okay. It will dry clear and it shouldn't show. Mine doesn't show. Hopefully whatever brand you use works out well for you. So I think I want a little bit more right here. Okay, and then I think a little bit more on the side, over here somewhere. Okay, and I just try to brush away as much of the excess as I can. Like I said, sometimes I vacuum. I run the vacuum hose attachment over it. Or when you seal it, it kind of seals. When you seal it with wax or clear sealer, I either use polyacrylic or I have a spray acrylic sealer that I really like to use that I get at the craft store. I'm not going to use it on this piece because I don't want the whole thing shiny, but I really like it. I like to use it on a lot of different things. Like when I'm doing a glaze, it's my favorite sealer to use when I'm doing a glaze. That's a whole other video though. Okay, so I'm moving on to silver leaf. Woo woo. Okay, so the silver leaf seems to be a little more fragile than the gold leaf was, so I'm just going to pull off what I can. And starting over here, I'm going to go ahead and lay my silver leaf. So right now, since I already have my gold where I want it, I'm just going to go ahead and fill in, you know, with the silver leaf wherever there's still adhesive. So very satisfying and therapeutic putting on this stuff. I don't know why. Maybe because it's so delicate. It's just fun. Okay. And my silver is not coming off quite as easily as the gold. We've got some there, but that's okay. As long as it sticks, we're good. You can gold leaf just about anything. Picture frames, I've seen people do glassware, although you would want to seal it with something food safe. Casserole dishes, probably maybe even a mirror. I don't know why you, I mean, I guess you could gold leaf and that would look, I don't know, but you can gold leaf just about anything. Kind of getting my mind jogging here, like, what could I gold leaf? I will stick with furniture for now. Okay, so I like how the mix of the gold and the silver is looking. It's very fun. My client that this is for, she sent me photos of like some different decor and things that she has in the room that this piece is going in, and she actually had quite a bit of mixed silver and gold, which is very cool because I like how metallics look together, and I'm the kind of person that I'm kind of indecisive when it comes to certain things. So, you know, a lot of people will only use one or the other, silver or gold. Well, like, why not both, you know? Why not both? I love the way this looks. This is the first time I've done silver and gold mixed together, and I'm a fan. I am a fan. Can you see that? The mixing of the both metals just really kind of like adds something to it, doesn't it? So we're gonna go over here on the side, finish up our silver. Hi-ho silver. Okay. Whew. Got a big chunk here. I'm just gonna go ahead and lay that down. Pull away the rest of our sheet. And I'm just gonna try to get some up in these spots that I missed, or not missed, but the spots that I left open that are not filled in with gold. So that's what I'm doing, just trying to fill in the blanks. And we need some down here. So fun. So fun. I also have copper leaf. I've used that once, I think, once or twice. I love copper. I just have trouble finding the right pieces to use it on, especially in the leaf. I don't know if they make multicolored. I'm assuming they make multicolored. Yeah, original gold leaf is made out of real gold. So it's thin sheets of 24 karat gold, which you can actually buy still. I think I saw some on Amazon, but it's kind of expensive. So I would like to know the difference between actual 24 karat gold leaf and this, like how it goes on different or how it looks different, you know. That would be interesting to find out. Maybe I'll get some and play around with it. I don't know. Okay, so I think I got that corner exactly how I wanted it. I love it when a plan falls in place. Okay, so we're done with that corner. I am going to move on down to, love how that looks in the light. Oh, so pretty. Okay, so I'm gonna move on down to this corner down here, okay? And then after I finish this corner down here, it will be time to seal the whole piece in wax and then Shiva stick. Okay, we're back with our piece that has been leafed, clear waxed, and then normally I would wait and put the hardware on last, but I went ahead and put it on. In this particular case, I painted the hardware gold, and in this case there's so much metallics going on that I wanted to see what they look like on there while I finished the last step, which is adding the Shiva stick on the detail. Because there's so much gold, I didn't want to get carried away and overboard with the gold and not the silver. I want it to be kind of balanced. So that's why I went ahead and put the gold hardware on there, so I can make sure that I'm getting a nice even balance of gold and silver. So what I think I'm gonna do is do gold on the top and the bottom, and it will kind of fade to silver through the middle. Because the hardware is gold, I want to have some silver to balance that out. So Shiva sticks, in case you're not familiar, are oil paint, and they come in a solid form like a crayon, as you can see. They're called Shiva Artists Oil Paintstiks, and I buy the iridescent ones because they are metallic. Obviously they make you know, every color under the sun for art purposes. Since I'm using it on furniture, I like to use it as accents. These are, like I said, oil paint in stick form, and they are light fast, they're permanent, they are self-sealing. So this is always my last step. If I'm going to be using these to accent, it's my last step. So when they come out of the package, they all have like a film on the outside, which is just basically the oil paint drying, and it protects itself and keeps, so you can use the rest of the stick. So you'll pull it out of the package, it'll have a film on it, and I just use my fingernail or a knife, and I go around like I'm peeling a fruit, and I peel that film off. I've already done that here. But they come in this like cardboard wrapper type deal, so just push up however much you're going to use, and only peel the film off of how much you're going to use. You can keep going along the way, but there's no reason to peel the whole thing, and then it dries and you waste it. So I love these. They come in so many different colors, and they just really add a nice finish. Like I said earlier, I really like to use gilding waxes. I love using gilding waxes, but with the marker crayon shape, I feel like I can control where it goes more. Whereas wax, it's a little more hard to control, if that makes sense. So these, it's just a different way of getting it's a very similar effect. These also take 24 hours to dry. That said, I had a piece the other day that I let dry for 48, and it was still, in some places I had gone over twice, it was still a little bit rubbing off a little bit. So when I picked it up, it rubbed off a little bit. So if you're going on, oh my God, a spider. Oh God, it's a huge spider. Oh fudge. I am deathly scared of spiders. Okay, sorry. Hold on. Okay, sorry about that. I'm deathly scared of spiders, and that was the biggest spider I think I've ever seen. So now that I'm creeped out, we're going to go ahead and start using our Shiva sticks, and make sure that after you use these, it is okay, your piece is in a safe spot to set for at least, you know, like I said, preferably 48 hours. If you go over it thick or twice, make sure that you give it plenty of dry time. Okay, so what I think I'm going to do, like I said, is gold on the, you know, corners, and then have that fade to silver in the middle. So I will pull you in a little bit closer to see. Hopefully that's good. Okay. I like to wear gloves, and I like to have a cloth handy because I use my fingers to blend you could probably use a brush, but I like to use my fingers. It's nature's paintbrushes right here. So I like to use my fingers, and I don't like to smear them together too much. I like to blend them just enough, so I like to wipe my hands off on a clean towel. So I'm gonna start, and you just kind of like mark where you want, kind of like you would a crayon. And if for some reason you find that you have put on too much, or your hand slips and you get a whoopsie somewhere that you don't intend to, just take some clear wax and go back over it. Do some circles over it, and that should help take away your mistakes, should you have any. So I'm going to just come down about this far. Oopsie, got a little boo-boo there, but we will see what happens. All right, so I'm gonna come down about this far, and then on the bottom, bring it up about that much. And just kind of draw on where you want it. And then we will use our fingers to blend, like I said. So I've got that on pretty much in the areas that I want. I'm just going to start by doing the gold. I'll do the silver separately. And take your finger and you just gently rub along where you, some of these finer details, it's harder to keep exactly where you want it, but take your time and practice on a practice piece or practice board if you're not sure, you know, if you're gonna like it. Or I love these things. I love these sticks. They're one of my favorite products. Mostly just because I'm obsessed with metallics. Everything gold, everything metallic, I love. So see how it's, when I'm using my finger, it kind of spreads it out some, but it's almost like the opposite of a glaze. A glaze you put on and wipe back and it sticks in the details. The Shiva stick or gilding wax, whichever you're using, it sets on the tops, so it is a highlight to whereas glaze is a shadow, if that makes sense. Okay, so I'm gonna go along our bottom here. Can you see how that's just like, once you start blending it with your fingers, or you know, spreading it around with your fingers, it just gets really shiny. It just makes it so sparkly, which I love sparkle. All right, so we come up with our gold, and now I want to do some silver through the middle, but I think I don't want to get carried away, but I do think I want to add some gold through here. I don't know. Well, let's do our silver and then we'll figure it out. All right, so the silver I want to do on the middle, through the middle, because we don't want that gold hardware hogging up all the limelight. So when I use multiple colors, which is almost always, except for gold, I overlap just a little bit. So if you start to mix them together when you're using colors, you can get like a muddy brown. So you don't want to overblend, but I like to overlap just a little bit so that it fades together. I don't want like a harsh line where the colors meet. I want it to fade together, if that makes sense. So if you have to go back and add some more of the first color, then that's what you gotta do. But see how that just brings out that detail so much? It just really makes it pop, I guess. I don't know. I don't have a better word for it. Really just highlights those details and gives them some justice. Can you see the silver through the middle and then the gold on the tops and bottoms? So I think what I'm gonna do is the edges of these, so I wanna make sure I have a steady-ish hand here. And I'm gonna do gold, and I'm gonna do some more down here. I love using these, they're so fun. Who am I kidding? I like using all of these products. I only use things that I love and that I feel confident about using. It's just like the right products can make this, whether it's your hobby or your profession or you're just trying it out, like the right products could really mean the difference between having an enjoyable experience refinishing or making art out of furniture. Just really makes a huge difference. For me, certain products really just, they make it a joy, you know? They make it a joy as opposed to a labor. So I'm gonna go through and do my silver middle, overlapping over the gold just a little bit. And I didn't get the inside. Let's do the inside of this diamond. Just use my finger to kind of spread it just a little bit. Okay, so back to the silver, overlap just a little bit here. Tell you what, we had let's see, yesterday it was like 60 some here in Indianapolis. 2 days before that it was snowing and like 30 degrees. It's been a crazy spring so far. Absolutely insane. But I guess I shouldn't be surprised. That's how the weather is in Indiana. That's why I always wear layers. You gotta be prepared because you never know what you're gonna step out onto. All right, so now I wanna blend my silver into the gold just a little bit. Okay, so I'm thinking I don't want to get too carried away, so I don't think I'm going to do, I don't know. Should I do the triangles? I would just really hate not to do the details of this piece justice. I want to make sure that I highlight what I need to and make the best of the beauty of each piece. Okay, so I am going to do a little bit, let's do a little bit on the peak. So I'm going to do gold. I'm definitely a more is more person. So for me, there's really no line between how much is too much on a piece and when to stop. So I don't know, it could be a good thing or it could be a downfall. I'm not exactly sure, but all I know is that, you know that old thing they say about wearing jewelry, you know, look in the mirror and take off the last thing that you put on. That is definitely not me. Just not my style. More is more. I don't know. I don't know what that says about me. I don't know if I want to know. Okay, so we got our triangles. What do you think? Yay? Nay? I think I'm gonna leave it. I think I like it how it is. Just like that. And on most of my pieces, I like to go, when I'm using the Shiva sticks, most of my pieces I like to go around the edges. So I'll do the details and then I'll go around and do all the edges. But I don't think I'm gonna do that on this one because, sorry, difficulties. Because I'm using so much metallic and I have the gold leaf there, I don't think I'm gonna end up going around the edges like I normally do. So I do, however, need to do the feet. So I'm gonna go ahead and do the feet. I think I'm just gonna do like a gold that fades into silver, similar to the top. So I'm just gonna try to like mark on there about where I want the gold and then use my fingers to kind of, I mean, look at that. Look how easy that is. It's so fun and you just get this really great look. People say, that must have taken you forever. And I'm like, yeah, it did. It was a lot of hard work. Not that it's not a lot of hard work, but I mean, look how easy that was. I wonder if you can scoot in and see a little bit better. So there's the gold on the feet, and down towards the bottom of the feet, I'm just going to do a little bit of silver. Just a little bit. Just a little. Don't want to leave the silver out. And got a little smudge where I don't want it. But the good thing about sealing with clear wax too is that you can just kind of, for the most part, wipe away some of your boo-boos. If it's too much, you want to, like I said, go over it with clear wax. But so that's the foot. I mean, see how like you could just barely even see the feet before, and now it's like they have their own, I don't know, they have their own little life going on down there. So very cool, very fun. If you have not tried these, you definitely need to get one or two and give them a shot. Or you get all the colors like I did. I don't know, you know. So I'm gonna go ahead and finish up the Shiva sticks on the rest of this piece. And then I'll let it dry and call it a day. That's my project for today. So you got to see how to use Redesign with Prima Transfers, gold and silver leaf, as well as my favorite, Shiva sticks. So thank you for watching. And if you have any questions or comments, you can feel free to message me on my Facebook page, CC Restyled, or on my Instagram, which is also CC_Restyled, I believe. So yeah, thanks for watching.